Good evening, everyone. I want to welcome you to our Sueur City Council meeting dated October 28, 2024. This time we'll open the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Council members, you all received your packets over the weekend. Hopefully you had time to look them over. At this time, I will accept any motions to approve tonight's agenda. Thank you, Councilmember Swanberg, seconded Councilmember Tui. Any other discussion, comments, concerns? If not, all those in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? The ayes have it. Moving on to public hearing, Mr. Roby.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you may recall from the September 23rd, 2024 meeting, City Council waived the first reading of Ordinance 610. Ordinance 610 has its genesis with the Charter Commission. So when it comes to the Charter Commission, their sole purpose is to evaluate the city charter, which effectively serves as the Bill of Rights for the city code. And sections 2.05 and 6.04 of City Code were suggested by the Charter Commission for slight amendment. And in order for the City Council to ultimately conduct the second and final reading of the ordinance, it's required to hold a public hearing. I'll certainly take any questions on the ordinance itself. Otherwise, I'll look for a motion to open the public hearing.
Any questions? So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Councilmember Swanberg, second Councilmember Williams to open a public hearing related to Ordinance 610. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? The ayes have it. We are now open. We don't believe we have anybody who wants to address this.
Not on
this public hearing. Okay. With that, I'll entertain a motion to close this public hearing on Ordinance 610.
So moved.
Thank you, Councilmember Tui.
Second.
Councilmember Schleter seconded. Any discussion, comments, concerns? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? The ayes have it. Moving on to consent agenda. Mr. Roby, you want to share that with us?
I would. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. 3 items on tonight's consent agenda. The first is approval of City Council minutes from the October 14th regular meeting. Second is approval of disbursements through today. Included in those disbursements are 9 items over $25,000, most of which are debt service payments for previous bond issuances. The first is to Kinetic Leasing for our equipment lease payment, $280,607. Second to U.S. Bank debt service on the 2017A or North 2nd Street bond, $194,125. Next to Northland Trust Services Incorporated, debt service on the 2014A Community Center bond, $144,082.50. Fourth, again to Northland Trust Services for the 2013A debt service. This is for the wastewater ponds bond, $99,590. Next, again to Northland Trust Services Incorporated for the 2014B debt service for the fire station. That totals $86,945. Again to Northland Trust Services for the 2013B debt service. That's a 2011 street reconstruction refunding bond, totaling $73,855. Next to Christeel truck equipment for the outfitting of the electric department 2024 Ford F-150 dump box truck for $35,540. Next to Bolton & Mank engineering work on the 2025 street and utility improvements project, $33,273. And finally, to Advanced Engineering and Environment, our engineering firm for wastewater on the Mayo Park Lift Station re-engineering project. That is the FEMA-related or flood 2024 flood-related project, totaling $28,443.02. And then finally, personnel action, the hiring of seasonal employees for our recreation department.
Thank you, Mr. Roby. Anybody have any questions regarding the consent agenda? If there is not, I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Thank you, Councilmember Huntington, seconded by Councilmember Tui. Any other discussion, comments, concerns? If not, all those in favor? Anybody opposed? The ayes have it. Moving on to public comment. Public comment provides an opportunity for the public to address the council on items that are not on the agenda. Comments will be limited to 5 minutes per person. Persons wishing to make comments must sign up in advance of the meeting on the sheet provided and identify themselves by providing their name and address. We have one person. I'm sorry,
Attorney Schläger.
Mr. Schlinger.
Go ahead.
Oh,
You got a couple.
is there a couple?
I think I signed up on the wrong sheet.
Oh, okay, because
Okay. We will start with Ernie. Ernie, you want to give us your name and your address, please?
Ernest Klingman, my address is 108 South 4th Street, Sueur, Minnesota. 56058.
Thank you, Ernest.
Yeah,
What's on your mind, Ernest?
well, there's a bunch of us that go up to the dog park up there. And it would be nice if we could get some lights, like some solar lights that, would come on and off for people that go up there when it gets dark. Because, as you know yourself, the time will change and then it gets darker right by 4 o'clock, but a lot of people still like to go up there after that because it's what time they get off work. So what we were kind of thinking about is if it was possible to put like 4 solar lights on each one of them poles, that when they come in, they would come on, but when they leave, they'd go off. So then, in other words, it would be nice just to have some kind of light up there because you can't see. Otherwise, a lot of people, like even her, she puts a light on her dog just to see if she can find out where it is. And, and there's a lot of other ones up there too. I mean, we didn't have anybody come besides us, but it was just an idea that it would be nice to get some kind of solar lights attached to the poles up there.
Thank you, Mr. Sherman. We appreciate your comments and we will give that consideration.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for your time. And the other one is, okay, is it Roder?
Rotor, correct.
Why don't you step to the podium, Mr. Roder? If you would share your name and your address, please.
Sure, Chris Rotor, 121 Sherwood Drive. I would like to just present the opposing viewpoint to the lights at the dog park. As the person who lives closest to the dog park and with neighbors nearby, one of the issues I really struggle with is that the rules of the dog park are not enforced by the city at all. There's a list posted at the site and online. The hours can only be found online. I've talked to some of the police officers in town. They're not even aware that there are hours that the park is closed. There's no effort to enforce those hours. I've asked a couple of times for a sign to be posted. I've been told, yes, it's never happened with the park hours. Multiple days per week, there are people there at 3, 4, and 5 a.m. with barking dogs, owners yelling at dogs, things of that nature. Often those owners, especially in the wintertime, turn the dogs loose in the park and they go sit in the car. So they're not picking up after their dogs. Adding lights would just encourage folks to use that park all hours of the day. So I think it would just make the situation worse. Now, my preference would be that the city would enforce the rules and actually lock the gate of the park during the off hours. And if if that were to happen, then I would wholeheartedly endorse lights. I think it'd be a wonderful idea, a nice addition. I get it at 4:30 at night. I gotta believe it's impossible to see your dog running around over there. So I certainly understand. But with the current practice of just kind of ignoring the dog park, I guess adding lights is just gonna make the situation worse. Thank you.
Real quick question for you, Mr.
Sure.
Roder, or Mr. Roby, if either one of you can answer. What are the hours up there?
7 to 10:30, 7 a.m. to 10:30 p.m.
And that's all year round.
Correct.
And it's worth noting that, for instance, the hours are on Google Maps. I'm the one that put them there. The city didn't, I put them on there. So.
Well, thank you, Mr. Roder. I appreciate you sharing your viewpoint and we'll give everything consideration.
Thank you very much.
Thank you much. All the public comment, that will take us on to the regular agenda. And we will, back up to the city administrator's update. Mr. Roby.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I would like to thank all council members, commissioners, and our city team for all of their work and contributions to the Future of the City Forum this last Saturday. We had a lot of good feedback, really great conversations. Numbers were not what I think anyone would like to see, but I would say of those who did come to the forum, there was a lot of really good conversation, and goes to show that if you show up, you're going to have our ear. So take that as you like. But kudos to Justin Nielsen, the staff liaison with the Planning Commission for orchestrating it, and the Planning Commission for all their work in setting it up. Last week we had a fire commission meeting on Wednesday evening, meeting with townships. Nothing much to report from that meeting. The EDA hosted a business workshop last week. This is a new effort to bring in local businesses and entrepreneurs to talk about anything, whether it's workforce, training, succession planning. There were 4 local businesses and a couple of entrepreneurs present at the workshop, and there will be another one, if not in November, likely in December. I'd like to congratulate the school district, all the parents, staff, teachers, administration, and of course all the students on the ribbon cutting at LSH Elementary last week. What a long time coming, and it's a really impressive building, really impressive campus. I'd encourage everyone to attend the open house coming up here. I think that's this Saturday, isn't it? This Saturday. Thank you, 9 to 11 this Saturday. And I would be remiss if I didn't thank the City Council. City Council, as you recall, did provide formal support in the way of a resolution encouraging the passage of the bond referendum 2 years ago. And I would like to thank the entire city staff and team for all their efforts in partnering with the school. Pretty much every city department has been involved in conversations partnering with the school from almost the day after the referendum passed until the day of the ribbon cutting, and even after the ribbon cutting regarding walkways. So I want to thank the city team for all their efforts. Speaking of the new elementary school, there is now an old elementary school in this town, and we continue to meet with the school district and have conversations with the buyers of Park Elementary School on plans to discuss the future site. There's nothing at this time that I can share, but we do continue to have conversations with the buyers. Last week, I was able to attend a civic engagement webinar series with the U of M Extension, talking about ways to engage your general population and what constitutes civic engagement. It was a really good program, and I appreciate the U of M Extension for the invitation. This Thursday is a big day, not only because it's Trick or Treat on Main and Halloween. So city staff up at City Hall will be handing out treats to trick or treaters. The police department will be handing out treats. A whole scat of local businesses will be. So from 3:30 to 5 on Thursday afternoon. Thursday afternoon, we also have a PBC, a Personnel and Budget Committee meeting at 3 o'clock. And earlier in the day, Thursday, we will be meeting on site at Mayo Park with FEMA to survey the damage and discuss recovery and mitigation. I'm going to steal your thunder, Councilmember Schluter. I hope that's okay. Here I go. Last week, Councilmember Schluter and I had the opportunity to sit down with Jessica Byer. Jessica is the new Deputy Director of Region 9. We discussed a number of things, including housing, development generally, and transportation. It was a great meeting, a number of takeaways from that, and I look forward to the continued partnership. And a reminder to everyone that next Tuesday here at City Hall is Election Day. Polls open at 7 a.m. will be open through 8 p.m. And please be kind to your election judges. The next meeting of City Council will be Tuesday, November 12th. Monday, November 11th is Veterans Day. And so with the Veterans Day holiday, the council meeting will be Tuesday, November 12th. And with that, I would like to thank all of our local veterans for their service to our nation.
Thank you, Mr. Roby. Anybody have any questions on his update? If not, that will take us into the regular agenda. We'll start with agenda item 8A, resolution R 2024-051, million gallon water tower final payment. Is that what we're going to be covering? Okay. Mr. Rowe.
I'll just really quickly turn it over to Mr. Beanfang, and this is a momentous evening for this council and this community. We're able to present closeouts for 3 really significant projects that were a long time coming, and kudos to all the city staff and the council for pushing these through and getting these done. These are major improvements to our local infrastructure. So with that, I'll turn over the first resolution regarding the 1 million gallon water tower to Mr. Beanfang.
All right, thank you, Mr. Roby. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council. So we do have 3 agenda items here that I'll be presenting for you. The first here is related to the 1 million gallon tower. So this wasn't an exactly planned theme tonight to bring all these projects forward. This kind of coincidentally fell into this fall period of being able to be at the point of recommendation for the final closeout. So kind of convenient timing that way. But as Mr. Roby alluded to, we have kind of 2 water projects that are substantial. The first being the 1 million gallon water tower. This project originated from a water system plan update in 2020, and that was in the early 2020 part of the calendar year. Design started kind of immediately after that water system plan was adopted. Construction on this tower started in 2021. Old tower was demolished in 2022, late fall of that year, and then substantially complete new tower online after that old tower was demoed. Summer of 2023 was a lot of punch list work, and we just had a situation where we were waiting on turf establishment. Hopefulness that this weather this year provided a better opportunity, but with a wet spring and a dry summer, we've just gotten to the point now where we found that to be acceptable. If you don't mind, Joe. So water system profile wise, this new 1 million gallon tower replaced a 500,000 gallon tower in the low zone. So this is just kind of an overall map of the water system within the city of Sueur. There are 3 pressure zones for those that aren't familiar. The low zone is your most substantial. That's where a lot of your heavy industry is. That is certainly what warranted the upgrade from a 500,000 to a 1 million gallon. Heavy users like Ager Pier and those exist on that low zone. So then there's 2 other towers, the mid and the upper. Joe. So as we may recall, that the 5-leg tower, that was the existing one built in 1957, 500,000 gallons, that was demolished, and then the new 1 million gallon composite. So that's got a concrete base, a steel tank, recommended for a larger size tower, such as a 1 million gallon, and then hopefulness that there's reduced maintenance need with that concrete base pedestal, and then the tank on the surface. Kind of a new color theme here with the 1 million gallon tower. You might recognize that there's some algae and mold that gets built up on our white towers today, in the bottom part of that tank. And so there was a consideration for that. That dark blue color will be something that we'd be looking to recoat with the existing tower, but certainly put that to effect here immediately on this new tower. So hopefully that'll help camouflage. You don't prevent that necessarily, but you just make it so it's not so recognizable with the white coating. If you don't mind, Joel. So in summary, the tower did come in under bid price, which is always kind of our target here. When we accept bids, we hope that we capture the work appropriately and are able to execute that work with that expected price. So this project did come in under. We have successfully received all the paperwork. So from a contractual standpoint, we come before council tonight with confidence that that paperwork is in place. The punch list has been secured. There is a noted 2-year warranty on any of these projects that we deliver. So then really tonight, and kind of something we've put into place here, is that we pass a formal resolution to recognize the moment that the project is accepted by council, and then that resolution then is a 2-part that authorizes then the final payment. So this is the last contractual payment then for this project. So that resolution R 2024-051 is that accepting work for the 1 million gallon composite elevated water tower. Happy to answer any questions that council may have. Mr. Mayor have.
One question on that system diagram that you had up there. The first wall closest to the river, is that one active?
It is not. It's not.
And I can't see exactly from here, but I believe that's well number 1.
It is well number 1.
Yeah, which would be located right now at the site where the Main Street substation is located, which has been decommissioned.
The 2-year warranty, assuming this passes, would it start today or Does it?
2-year warranty in the framework of this contract is started at substantial completion. So that was that November of 2022.
So it's pretty much.
It's pretty much expended, yeah.
Okay.
So there are some extended warranties on some of the equipment and things, but when it comes to the actual tower construction itself, the ancillary underground work and such, that has been under a warranty condition. It's not favorable that you would have a final acceptance kind of this long into that warranty period, but for this particular case, we were almost a year in warranty or a year in waiting to accomplish turf restoration. So arguably, tower has been functioning fine. The final closeout has just really been related to a turf acceptance thing. So just wanted to be diligent about that, but that's an explanation for kind of how those dates are aligning.
Thank you.
Anybody else? If not, then we will entertain a motion to accept R 2024-051, accepting the final payment on the 1 million gallon water tower.
So moved.
Thank you, Councilmember Schleter. Councilmember Williams, thank you. She seconded it. Any other discussion, comments, concerns? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? The ayes have it. Moving on to agenda item 8B, resolution R 2024-052, well number 8, and well house final acceptance pay. Mr. Roby, you want to take us into that?
I'm going to defer immediately to Mr. Bean. Thank you, sir.
All right. So our second project here, closeout. This one is the second of the water improvements. This was the #1 recommended project in the water system plan. That plan was adopted in 2020, similar to the recommendations for the 1 million gallon tower. And this was a recommendation to construct a new municipal well. And really was on the understanding that well 7 is the other well that's the primary contributor to the water supply in the city of Sueur. That has I think an operation, a lot of what we're witnessing is we have some aging wells. So we had 4 existing wells before well 8. Well 8 was our 5th well. And you'll notice that over time of a well, there'll be a design gallons per minute, a design capacity, and then there's what a current operational capacity is. And it's evident in all of the existing wells that the current operation is less than design, and in some cases less than 50%. And so it's important to be mindful of kind of your municipal supply. Another really important consideration is that when departments of health and things look at your water supply, they ask you to take your greatest well out of service, and they call that your firm pumping capacity. So if your greatest well goes out of service, you're reliant on all the other wells to supply your water. And so in this particular case, if you take well 7 out, which was the largest well before well 8, the city was at risk of not being able to produce the water needed. So they were less than what the firm capacity would be recommended. So a new municipal well, a large producing new municipal well was the highest priority, and that's what this project was set out to accomplish. So design started in 2021, construction started that year, late summer, fall. And similar to the tower, this one was substantially complete in November of 22. So well online producing water. This well is located near the dog park, coincidentally tonight, based on that conversation, right across the road from it. It's near the mid-zone tower is where this well is, and that's the well house there. Kind of mirrored it based on the communication building nearby. And this well is located on site and then supplies raw water back along Kingsway to the water treatment plant there on Lowred. So had some raw water construction on the east side of Kingsway to get this well water to the treatment plant to be treated and input into the distribution system.
Really quickly, Corey, if I might, because we've, for some reason, had a couple of these questions come up in the last month or so. I'm just curious, folks are wondering why some of the hydrants in town are blue instead of red. And so the hydrants along the east side of Kingsway are blue because they're raw water. So that's the water that's coming directly out of well 8 that's going along the east side of Kingsway, underneath Kingsway and the water treatment plant.
That's correct. And so they're blue by witness of raw water, not treated or potable water. They're still significant for the system, though, allows you to flush the water mains and control pressure. And so they are definitely a design practice that you still need to input, but you want that immediate color recognition that reds are the treated water and blues are the raw water. So it's a very good point. There's one witnessable right there in the picture. That's exactly what I'm looking at. Same type of hydrant, just painted differently. Don't mind, Joe. So kind of the same water system profile. We updated this after these projects were substantially complete, but I think it does a kind of a good capture for those that maybe aren't familiar or as knowledgeable just about this is the current water system. So I kind of noted it's a little hard to read, but there's a design and a current operating. And so if you zoom in, you'll notice that those numbers are different for all of the existing wells except for well 8. Well 8 is now the largest producing well. That's 1,000 gallons per minute. So it's it's close to, I think 500 gallons per minute greater than even well 7. So it's definitely a good producing well thus far, and definitely aided in that firm well capacity. So that's the situation there in well 8. So in summary here, the construction cost of this project did come in slightly over what the as-bid price was. It was primarily attributed to anytime you construct a well, you're uncertain exactly what that underground condition is, the aquifer interaction, depth of well. So we require that wells are test pumped. In this particular case, what we assume from a design standpoint and what the test pumping concluded after conducting is that the well is going to be able to produce greater amount of water than what was expected. So we made an upgrade to the well motor and to the VFD to accomplish and kind of maximize that design, since that was our intent here, is to maximize our water supply. So that decision was made, and there was a cost increase due to that. Similar to the tower, all paperwork has been received. This project is ready for closeout. To Mr. Tui's point, this is a very similar situation to the tower where substantial completion was accomplished in November, and we really were just struggling with some turf restoration along Kingsway. It's kind of a challenging corridor there with some sandy soils, the pretty substantial drainage ditch there because of the raw water. We had to impact that, had some challenges getting turf restoration along that eastern side of Kingsway. So that's one of the reasons we're here. The final closeout took longer than you would like to normally have. But the action or the request tonight is to consider, similar to the tower, a resolution to accept the work and then authorize that final payment. That resolution is R 2024-052 for the municipal well 8 and well house. Happy to answer any questions that the council may have.
Anybody?
I'm just curious, real quick. You say design versus actual, and design capacity is this, but actual ain't beating it. Is that because of equipment or because there's not as much water down there as you thought it was?
Yeah, I would say it's not the latter, but being that we had Mr. Foster Transberg, I could let Foster speak to that a little bit more. It's a lot more just about, I think, the aging and the cavity at the bottom of the well. But yeah, Foster, do you have anything to add there relating to that observed difference in design and operation?
Yeah, it's just, the wells have been, over time, they just lose capacity, and that's why we do maintenance. We're in the middle of doing we're working on well 7 this year, next year, so.
Stuff's just getting old?
Just stuff gets old, and.
Okay. I didn't know whether it was the aquifer had dropped or,
And that can happen in different places, but yeah, it's really, depending on the well, some wells are open cavity wells, some wells are screened wells, so depending on, it can end up filling up with sand. So the screened wells actually have rock in the bottom, and then as they're pumped, sand actually works into there, or you can build up with manganese or iron.
Sure.
And so it takes some kind of treatment or pumping. So they just require maintenance, and so,
Thank you.
and so that's why we do maintenance as well.
And you just observe that based on the how the motor is operating. That's how you kind of understand your current your current supply. Just that's what the maximum motor can output to produce the well, the pump. So it's not so much where you're like picking this number per se. It's just the true performance of it. That's what correlates to that current pumping capacity. You're really at the mercy of it as that number is decreasing, and then to Foster's point, there's some things you can do to rehab to get back up closer to that design, hopefully.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Now I'll entertain, anybody wants to make a motion on R 2024-052.
So moved.
Thank you, Councilmember Chewy. Second, Councilmember Williams. Any other comments, discussions, concerns? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? The ayes have it. Moving on to item 8C, resolution R 2024-053, that's the CASA 36 South Main and Jerry Street accepting work. We'll go right to Mr. Beanbank. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So my final project consideration here tonight is the CASA 36 South Main and Fair Street project. This project really kind of culminates about 10 years of investment between city and county partnerships. I think this map is pretty powerful when you really kind of reflect back on it. The project on Kingsway, CASA 35, that started or was completed in the year 2014. And so we are almost a true decade of investment in county corridors through the city of Sueur. So pretty significant milestone, I think, in the accomplishment of this. CASA 36 obviously here is the last one for the foreseeable future, at least where the county is going to be participating on a reconstruction type nature. This, dated back to an MOU in 2020, so almost 4 years to accomplish to the point where we are tonight. This did start the framework for the CASA 37, so maybe not quite literal in that we're done investing in roadways, but certainly recognizing that 37 has been turned back now and is a local road to be improved locally with the city resources. Design in CASA 36 started in 2021. Construction started in 2022. So if anyone's following along, 2022 is a pretty busy year in the city of Sueur and for staff to be delivering construction projects. This project was substantially complete in fall of 22. And then, we're at the point now of final acceptance. Summer of 23 was final wear course turf, and this project had some turf challenges as well, and really what kind of led us into the majority of 24 here to get to an acceptable condition on that. And I would say of all of our kind of recent to past on linear projects, this is the best one from a turf restoration standpoint. It's been a dry summer, but if you drive this corridor, it's evident that boulevard grass exists there. So, if you don't mind, Joe. So improvement area, this all should be very familiar, but CASA 36 starting at the south city limits there, that 30-mile-an-hour zone, extending up to Ferry Street, and then 36 turns and continues east from South Main Street literal up to South 4th Street, and then that's where it turns into 26 and 22, depending on which direction you go. So kind of an intersection there of multiple CASAs. And then we did the one leg of Ferry Street, which is from South Main to the west parking lot. That's recognized to be a local road. Final construction costs in this project did come under budget. So, the total budget, the total project cost there, the as bid just for comparison. So again, kind of a target that we try to strive for. The county portion did go up a little bit. Things like garage removals and things that we were able to kind of accomplish in the construction phase of that is what correlated to that increase. But I think what's most important is the city side of things went down, which is what we again hope to accomplish. Sizable improvements on this project. I think the downtown corridor, the ability to raise the sidewalk to provide that ADA access, you note that in the top right. I think that's been well received and functional. The monument sign in the south end, we have an RFB with bump outs, 11-foot lanes to try to control speed. So some of those design considerations that you like to put into place to geometry wise kind of control that driver behavior to the best that you're able. But so I think overall, really happy with this one. I think it's a continuation of the successes we had on the 112 turnback, CASA 22, and really kind of put them all on the table here for CASA 36, and hope to do same for North 4th Street. So if you don't mind, Joe. So construction costs came in under bid, as I alluded to. All paperwork has been secured. This is a little different action tonight that I'm asking of council. This is really just in partnership with the county, just really as a city accepting the work and noting that we're happy with it, that we've deemed it to be complete. The contract holder for this one is Sueur County. So we are the first action to recognize the complete contract, and then it'll go in front of the county board for the actual acceptance and approval of final payment. This 2-year warranty will start after final payment. That's the way that this contract is structured. And then something to note and kind of watch out for is then it would be expected then that the county would ask for that city payment for that second portion of the work that is a part of that 2.658 million. That would be coming in after this closeout. So something to kind of recognize, or I guess understand will be forthcoming. So the motion tonight is a resolution, again, just to authenticate that accepting of work for that South 36 South Main and Ferry Street project. That's resolution R 2024-053. Happy to answer any questions.
Anybody, any questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion for R 2024-053.
So
We'll give it to Mr. Tui, seconded by Councilmember Schrader. Any other discussion, comments, concerns? If not, all those in favor? Anybody opposed? Thank you. It's amazing how all three of these came together at the same time.
It is.
It was kind of interesting to review all this. So I tip my hat to this council, to our staff for the major improvements we've had in this community the last 3-4 years. So thank you too, Mr. Bingpayne. You've done some wonderful work. You're a very good communicator.
Should be proud of it.
Yeah, thank you very much.
This takes us on to our last agenda item. That will be ordinance 610, second and final reading. Mr. Roby.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. As mentioned during tonight's public hearing, ordinance 610 is up for second and final reading tonight. Specifically, ordinance 610, just as a review, covers 2 sections of the city charter, section 2.05, which deals with vacancies in the city council and giving some more specificity to the terms therein, and then section 6.04 regarding the purchasing language for the city council, and just allows the city council ultimately to it doesn't change anything around the requirements for competitive bidding, but every once in a while, the state may increase or decrease the amounts that would require a competitive bid. And so the recognition here is that we need to have some flexibility when the state says, competitive bidding is going to be X dollar amount this year, then we don't have to go back and change our city charter. We could just say per state statute, which is what we follow right now.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions for Mr. Roby? At this time, I'll entertain a motion for somebody to conduct or waive the second and final reading of ordinance 610.
I'll make a motion to waive the second and final reading of ordinance 610, amending sections 2.05 and 6.04 of the city charter.
Thank you, Councilmember Hunter. Second, Councilmember Tui. Thank you. Any other discussion, comments, concerns? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. This takes us into reports and items of appreciation. Council members, if your opportunity to share what's going on in your community, your commissions, we'll start with Councilmember Huntington.
I got nothing, sir.
Councilmember Schrader.
I attended a Region 9 Economic Development Tour on the 15th. As Administrator Roby mentioned, I had a follow-up meeting for Region 9 on housing. Also attended a MnDOT passenger rail meeting and a Future of the City Forum on the 26th. Got an HRA meeting Wednesday, Lee Sueur County officials meeting this week. Lee Sueur County Emergency Management and the City of Waterville will discuss the disaster relief operations. That's all I have.
Thank you. Councilmember Sullivan is absent tonight. Councilmember Conver.
Nothing today.
Nothing. Councilmember Tui.
I also attended the Future of the City, and as Joe said, I had a great time. Was a little disappointed in the turnout compared to last year. I wish there were more people there.
Thank you. Anything else? Councilmember Williams.
I also have HRA meeting on Wednesday, attended the hospital board meeting on last Tuesday. Facility seems to be doing good, some leadership changes, but other than that, nothing real major. And appreciate the city staff for the time that they put into that forum. It was well done. So like I said, low attendance.
Thank you. I want to thank all the council members who were at the city forum. It's an important time to hear what's some of the ideas that our public has. And again, I just want to stress that you council members that gave up Saturday to go to that, thank you very much. I was unable to attend. So with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting. Thank you. All those in favor? Thank you. Very